Okay, so today we're going to talk about the scientific method. So first thing is understanding things that are produced from the scientific method, and that would be the scientific laws and theories. So both of these are supported by experimental results or data. A lot of time when you hear the word scientific theory or theory, your assumption is probably that it isn't based off of data, and that's actually not true. Both of these are based off of data and results. So theories are used to explain observations, but they must be repeatable and predictable. So an example, if we determine gravity to have a certain force in Minnesota, and it should be the same elsewhere as well, or the acceleration due to gravity should be the same everywhere. That means that we're always questioning our results and examining them, and new data is always changing them, but in general, we're always moving forward. So the difference between a law and a theory is that a law describes what is happening, not why or anything like that, just what is happening. This is what happens. So, we have E equals mc squared. Oftentimes laws are represented by math equations. So force equals mass times acceleration. That's a law. Describes what is happening. And a theory explains how something is happening. So an example, if you saw that there was, two animals that looked very similarly and they're separated by a mountain range, you could use a theory of speciation to explain how that came about. It's based on observation primarily. So they're always being tested. Both are based off of observation, data, and experimentation. And the changes occur over large amounts of time and often small baby steps. So we gradually improve our understanding, and there's no better example of this than a lot of times what we've seen with COVID is that the more time that passes, the more information that we actually know, and the better our mitigation techniques get. So models represent events or objects. So as an example, if I asked you to draw what you think air particles look like as they're moving around, you could draw it, and that drawing would be a model. It's a representation of an object or event that can be studied to understand the real object or event. And then as you learn new information, the model can be changed. So scientists use physical and computer models to explain this. So weather is predicted through models. So critical thinking is really the way that scientists approach problems. Is the ability and willingness to assess claims and make judgments based on evidence and reasoning. So we're going to look at an example of that based on ads. So remember, if at any point you need to pause, feel free to go ahead and do that. So a lot of times people think of the scientific method only as a series of steps. Okay, but the reality is that we all solve problems a little bit differently. So scientific method is best thought of as a general description of how we think as scientists and not necessarily a set of steps, although it's often helpful to approach a problem very systematically through a set of steps that we often boil down the scientific method to. But think of it more like a circle where at any point in time, if I get to my hypothesis and I realize that it's not accurate, I can always go on to something else. So scientists test hypotheses by doing controlled experiments. In controlled experiments, all factors can be kept constant except for one thing. So everything changes except for one factor. And what I'm being changed is the variable. The hypothesis is my, possible explanation, or my most believed in, oftentimes the most believed in, or sometimes the least believed in option. So when we're looking at an experiment, there's four primary things we're looking at. The independent variable, that's the thing that we change. The dependent variable is what we measure. And then there's two groups. There's the experimental group, the one that gets the independent variable, and the control group, which does not. Okay, so on a graph, the independent variable is on the x-axis. On the graph, it's on the y-axis. So independent variable is what I change. Dependent variable is what I'm measuring. Control group is no independent variable, and here would be independent variable. So let's look at this example. So what's the independent variable, dependent variable, control group, and experimental group for this one below? So independent variable is what I'm changing. Dependent variable is what I'm measuring. So let's identify those first. What am I measuring? What am I changing? Class wants to decide if cell phone use impacts test scores. Oh, half of students in the class have access to their phones and half do not. At the end of the unit, the average test scores are compared. So what am I measuring? Let's maybe start there. What are you measuring? That would be your dependent variable. So your dependent variable, I'm just going to get a pen out here, would be the average test scores is your dependent variable. Okay, that's what I'm measuring. Independent variable is what's changing. So cell phone use would be your independent variable, or access to your cell phone. Okay, the experimental group, these are the, I guess I don't need that. These are the ones who are receiving the independent variable. So it's the students who can use cell phones. I'm going to abbreviate here. They're going to use their cells. And the control group is the opposite, do not receive it, so it's no cell use. And data actually shows that students who do not have their cell phone out and accessible during class usually get a full letter grade better than students who do. So if you got a C, then if you didn't use your cell phone ever, you're more likely going to get a B, which is a significant difference. Okay, so one thing to note though is that even if I don't get the results I'm hoping for, no experiment is a failure. Because the results of every single experiment can be used to revise hypothesis, test, plan new experiments, or try a different variable. So even if I wanted to say like, that as a teacher, all my students aren't doing as well on assessments as I'd like them to, first thing I do is I test the cell phones, and let's say, even though this isn't accurate, that they all got the same exact scores as they did before. I'd be like, okay, that experiment isn't a failure, because I learned that maybe cell phones isn't the primary cause for why my students aren't doing great. And then I'm like, oh, my screencasts haven't been recording audio, so they haven't heard me going through, so I'm going to test that. Next time, put kids in two groups, and some get audio, some do not, and then I realize like, oh, the kids who got audio are scoring 20 times better than the other kids. Then that's a really important one. Important thing, but it came from an experiment that many would consider a failure. Being right every time isn't success. Okay, growing and improving and changing is success, and if that's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. So there are many tools that scientists use for making observations, and that's basically the foundation of our world. So they could be microscopes, telescopes, accelerators, computers, spectroscopes, really anything. There's a lot of different ones. It could be something as simple as a ruler, right? So for an online ad, fill out the table below. So what you should do here is you should click on this ad. I need to get rid of my pen here. What the heck? Okay, anyway, let's open this ad, watch the Gatorade ad. So it's pretty short here.
Studied, tested, proven. For the world's best athletes, nothing beats Gatorade.
Okay, so that's the baseline of the ad. A possible hypothesis that they're showing here is that if you drink Gatorade, you'll perform at a higher level. The independent variable, what you're changing, is the Gatorade. Dependent variable, what you're measuring, is the performance. The control group would be people who do not drink Gatorade, and an experimental group would be ones that don't. So if we were to watch that video again, we could come up with a list of possible strengths here. So one potential strength is that in it, they do reference that it was studied. Okay, that's a potential strength. It was studied, the impact of Gatorade. Okay. They at least mention that. One weakness is there's no specifics. So an example of that would be, let's say that they did it and they realized that, okay, if you drink Gatorade in a specific fashion, like you drink a half a Gatorade at halftime and a half in between towards the end of the game, then you have 5% better stamina. Okay? Well, what that means for your sport, maybe it looks a little bit different. Maybe like one swing of the bat is a little bit more powerful than it normally is. Or, if you're a runner and you're running a 5K, at the last, 20 meters of the last 400 are a little bit easier. Then what you'd have to balance that out with is that is that worthwhile? Is that a difference? That difference exists, but is that difference worth the expenditure? Or is it actually more important to just be well hydrated, so drinking water and being well rested actually results in a doubling of all those things? So we don't know any specifics, and that's a weakness of that claim. So let's look at this Coke ad now, and your homework is to develop the hypothesis, independent variable, dependent variable, it should say control group and experimental group as well. And then strengths and weaknesses of that supporting info for this Coke ad that's right here and also in your notes. And then submit that to Schoology and you're done.